don't eat that unhealthily. These are two common phrases I hear. I hear them often, and I hear them from people who feel like they don't necessarily need to make a change with nutrition. And often when I hear these sort of guarding statements, I know I need to sniff around a little bit more. There's something there that I need to look into, because basically if you feel like that's the case and that's true, that shows up in your results. There's no way that you can eat less and still gain weight. And ask me 10 years ago, I would have probably talked about starvation mode, and I felt like I believed it in large part. But then I start to look at examples around the world where there's people who truly don't have food and don't have access to food. And in no cases did I find people who they didn't have issues with losing weight. I mean, they had the opposite. They had issues with maintaining their function of their body, maintaining muscles, etc. Like, when starvation happened, it was evident. You saw it in people's bodies. So, going back to this, if you feel like you're doing everything you should, if you feel like you're not eating, you don't eat that much, you eat healthily, I'm not gonna argue any of those 2 points. I think maybe it's possible that your perception of that is true, and so no way am I saying that that's a lie. But I do want to challenge that perspective. I do want to challenge that understanding, because I think if that's the case, then we need to get to measuring, to tracking your caloric intake. And you can eyeball it at first. You can see what's what, right? But then let's say that's still not working. The next step is you probably have to start to weigh things out. And I recognize this is a slippery slope. It's a hairy situation, because I don't want you to have to be so strict with it. I don't want you to have to be so uptight with everything and weighing it. But if the situation calls for that, that's the direction we have to go. And if we're doing that, I think what you'll do is you'll learn a little bit more. You'll get a better sense of your portions, and then from there you can back into doing what you're doing right now. So you sort of delve into it, learn what you need to learn, and come back out. I don't think that we need to go far down that road. There is some cases that we do, and that's usually people who are trying to get ready for a show or something. Like, they're going to go down that road, and they're going to stick down that road, and they're going to drive pretty far down that road for quite some time. But for most of you guys are going to go down that road a little bit, make a quick U-turn, and come back to where you are, because that process is just to see some stuff. It's just to see the scenery. It's to learn the skills, and regain the perspective that you need. Because if the perspective of and the perception of eating enough doesn't line up with the actual numbers, then that gives you the information that you need. And if not, then maybe we dive into it a little bit more. There's some other things that we can look at. But for the most part, if you feel that way, I encourage you to start tracking. I encourage you to spend 2 or 3 weeks just being as accurate as possible. I'm not asking you to do this forever. I don't want you to do this forever. I want at some point for you to learn everything you need to learn and not really need to check in with that. But that is to do with your environment. That has to do with what's going on around you, because in some cases it's possible not to track at all, and other it's kind of necessary at least to give yourself an audit from time to time. So what am I saying with all this? I think the perception needs to be adjusted sometimes. So just take a little look. Then the accuracy needs to be adjusted, and then you can come back to where you currently are. But for the most part, I've never actually seen a situation where eating less caused people to gain weight. More often it was like you're eating well, you're eating healthily, you're eating less, and all of a sudden at nighttime you would sort of revert back to the opposite direction. Maybe you'd overeat because your body's so hungry, etc., etc. So again, get more consistent, get more accurate, and then we'll get back to where you need to be. But again, it's possible to eat healthily. It's possible that you can eat less and maybe plateau, but there's no way in this sort of balanced equation that we can't account for something that might be influencing your results per se.